I don't think I've ever once used, let alone described myself as like a dirtbag left. Hello and welcome to the Adam Friedland Show. Uh,
Was the camera on me or was it on
I
him?
don't know.
You my intro
I'm
up.
sorry.
I'm joined today by Adam Friedland's friend, Nick Mullaney.
Here I am, Stavros Halkias,
Yeah.
in the
Oh
flesh.
shit.
Yeah.
I thought you guys didn't associate anymore.
Not like on camera, I guess. Not in
Okay.
person.
Well, how's life?
Life's good. I had a great day today.
Already?
Yeah.
It's like 1:40. There's like hardly any
No,
of the day that's happened.
I've never been like a New Year's resolution guy, and I guess I'm not this year either, because it's always like, well, I'm just, you're just not gonna fucking do the thing past like 3 weeks. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
But
I start my New Year's resolutions in February for that.
that's smart.
Yeah. So then you're away from all the other losers. And then when people see you doing your New Year's resolution, they see you doing it like February 2nd. And it's like, good for you. You stuck with it. And it's like, I'm on day 2.
That's
Okay.
smart. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't this year. I didn't do a New Year's resolution, but like I know that I just do better in the morning anyway. So I've been waking up at like 5:45, 6 o'clock.
Damn.
But those are the good. I'm happy.
That's good.
And then I go to bed at like 9:30.
Okay.
And so I walked to the gym, used the sauna, then walked home, had a bagel, and it's like I'm great.
I don't think there's any science to back this up, but I read that every hour before like 12.
Isn't reading science?
Does it count as science?
I think so. Yeah.
think it's moving to,
Somebody
like-
takes the time to write something down. That's science.
I think that when it's like been a thing for long enough, it becomes common sense.
Yeah,
Like people
right,
call it
okay.
common sense. So that's common sense is reading. But every hour before 12 is like a magical hour. It's like if you go to sleep like before midnight, like every hour before, like if you go to sleep at like 10, that's amazing. And
Yeah.
if you wake up at like 7 or 8 or 9, that's just like so
I
good.
start to collapse internally around 4 p.m. And
Okay.
if I'm up till like 2 a.m., it's like, oh, you got to kill yourself. This is.
Jeez, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Good
So you
pressure to
wake
get
up
you
at
to sleep, I
6.
guess,
Yeah,
huh?
5. During COVID, I was waking up at like 4:30 in the morning.
What was your COVID life like?
Not too much different, just less. I mean, I would go to. I don't really do anything. So yeah, I would like work out in my apartment and play Doom Eternal. I can't remember if that came out. That's my memory of it. Of COVID is Doom Eternal.
Okay. You're like
Yeah.
a gamer. That's cool. All right.
Sometimes I've been getting back into it. I've been really letting myself indulge.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the recent game you've played?
What did I was just talking to him about. I played that game Control. They put that on like the PlayStation as like a streaming service,
Okay.
and it might be one of the worst games I ever played.
I'm so sorry. Why is
Yeah.
it so horrible?
It's very embarrassing. It's like very even sitting there by myself to like hear what these characters are saying and
It's
what
like
they
an
care
anime
about.
style game, or
It's
what?
worse than that.
Okay.
It's
like a
like
Marvel
what?
movie.
Yeah, it's like if like a bully's idea of anime, if that became something, but it's like it's a female protagonist, which is fine,
Yikes. Okay. Yeah.
but like
the
a female
trans, yeah.
female protagonist by a guy that was probably like, you know what we should have? A female protagonist. So then it comes off as this like it's just embarrassing, right? I I wasn't prepared to like talk in detail about what makes it so, but it's like I was saying I never really like understood what cringe meant
Mm-hmm.
like exactly until playing this, where I'm like I can't, like I just don't want to hear what they're saying.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
You're way more culturally in tune, I think, than I am. Like you've seen like movies that aren't just the most popular movies, and you like your comedian stuff and everything. I'm kind
I
of
don't
curious
know
from
to
your.
what degree you were culturally
Not at
in
all.
tune or not.
I'm a gamer, and I've seen some anime basically, and then I sit on the
Well,
computer all
we're
day.
probably on the same.
Okay, but you know like more than 2 directors. Okay, that's you have like a world of knowledge away from me.
Okay.
Actually, I know 3 now because David Lynch just died. So
He did.
Yeah.
So you're learning about David Lynch now?
no, but I remember the name at least for a few days.
Have you watched any of his movies?
Somehow, sometimes there'll be famous directors, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I've seen a lot of his stuff. I don't know if I've actually seen any David Lynch stuff.
You know what you should start with is his Dune.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I like it. He hated it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it is weird, but it's. Do you like Dune?
I didn't like
recent
Dune 1 that much. I thought it was kind of boring. I thought Dune 2 was okay.
I didn't see 2. I think I don't. I've seen the David Lynch Dune,
Okay.
and then I saw the TV miniseries, and then I saw this one with the boy. But I've seen all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I could not tell you a single thing about the story.
Okay.
I don't know anything. That I've just my eyes roll. I'm like, oh, it's like Star Trek kind of.
I don't actually know. Actually, there's a boy, and he has the voice, and he.
I would challenge anyone that just saw only the new one to tell me what that movie's about.
I feel like the problem with a lot of,
and if you can meet that challenge, you're disinvited from the contest.
Damn.
But if you have,
it's got to be funny. So
yeah,
I can't know the answer.
We're doing a pre-contest where we check to see if you know, and then if you do, you're disqualified.
Do you think the whole like woke stuff for media, like you spoke about like the cringy woman protagonist lead, do you think that was like overblown? Or do you think
it's not a woke thing. It's that it's this like kind of like, it's just this it's a very like hot topic kind of vibe. It's not the woke. It's the game's not woke at all.
Sure.
It's like a woman with like, she's got like supernatural intuition, and her brother was kidnapped, and he's like crazy, dude. He's like so crazy. And so he's so crazy that the government needs his mind. And then it doesn't go anywhere. It's just like, you know.
What does this have to do with it being a woman protagonist over a guy protagonist?
It's a woman protagonist written by, a man who I'm assuming has never had sex. It's like a gay, like.
Is she bad at
like
writing, or what's like the indicator in the game?
You know,
like, wow, this is definitely not.
You've always played games, right?
Yeah.
And maybe when you were 10, you would be like, wouldn't it be cool if my girlfriend played games also? If I had it, and you've never had a girlfriend. Okay. And then you become an adult, and if your girlfriend also plays video games, you're like, get the away from me.
Okay.
You know, she's
slowing you down, yeah.
Yeah, well, not slowing me down. It's like, I don't want to do the same thing.
Oh, okay.
You have to have your own interests. You know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's like a fictional. I don't even know if that's really the problem. It's just very embarrassing. It gives me a yes, very much like a hot topic, cringe. Like, I'm twisted. You know what I mean? Like that kind of vibe, and that's what I hate about it.
Okay, I'm saying okay, but I don't think I have any idea what you mean at all. Actually, no.
Damn!
I just don't understand what you're all saying.
It just sucks.
Okay,
I don't like. I didn't.
Gotcha. It's cringy. It's poorly written.
You know what you can't do to me is you can't ever ask why.
Okay.
Right. So if I say
that's good.
something,
we're vibes. We're all vibing.
If I say something, right, and even if it's nonsense, you go totally.
Totally. Okay.
Right. Totally.
Okay.
If you say why, you come on, man. You're throwing fucking sand in the wrenches. Now you go totally. Right, exactly.
Okay.
That analogy doesn't mean anything. What is that? What does that mean? Nothing. Right?
Totally. I got you.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Now we're on the same
wavelength. Right, yeah. That's jazz. That's jazz.
That's jazz. Just random, go with the flow, collateral, right?
Sure. See, now you made it make sense for me. Yeah. I just said that's jazz. I don't know what that means.
Absolutely.
But there we go. Okay.
Have you seen Collateral?
If you've tuned into my stream basically at all in the past few years, one of the things that I've been complaining about over and over and over again is how horrible the media environment is. As a result of that, I feel like fixing our media consumption habits is probably one of the most important things that we can do on our way to 2026 and beyond. One of the new tools that I found to help me with that is Ground News. Ground News is both a website and an app that you can download for your iPhone or your Android that basically helps you sort through the media of the day. It's a giant media outlet aggregator that sorts through all of the different media websites and how they report on different stories of the day. You can see immediately at a glance how particular stories are being reported on. It will tell you like the types of media outlets that are all rated by 3 independent media rating agencies, whether or not these sites are left-leaning, apolitical, nonpartisan, or right-leaning. And sometimes you can tell what a particular story is literally just based on the websites that are covering it. So for instance, I see here that there's a headline generated by Ground News that says State Farm will not advertise during the Super Bowl amid the LA fires. I see that a lot of right-leaning sources are covering this. If I click into it, I can see that there are 15 total sources, 3 left-leaning, 8 right-leaning. I can even see the particular websites that are reporting on it based on their placement on the political spectrum. I can click through to a site. I can literally see the headline, State Farm is forced into humiliating Super Bowl U-turn after LA wildfires, and the cost is immeasurable. I can go back to Ground News, and I can literally see a site here. Federal judge allows red states to resume lawsuit against mifepristone, an abortion drug. Obviously, this is something that conservatives probably won't report much on, but I see a lot of nonpartisan sites reporting on it. And I see a few liberal ones. I can click through here. And again, I can get summaries of the left-leaning viewpoints, any right-leaning viewpoints if there were ones, and then kind of what the nonpartisan people are saying, as well as a bias comparison that kind of summarizes all the viewpoints. It's also a really cool feature on this site called Blind Spot. This is going to show you the most partisan reported stories. So if I'm a left-leaning person, these are stories that I might have missed because they're almost exclusively reported on by right-leaning outlets. And then here's stories over here for the right that are reported on by almost exclusively left-leaning outlets. So it's probably something I'm going to be incorporating a lot more on stream going forward, just so that we can kind of explore how the media is reporting on the news of the day. If you're interested in grabbing a Ground News subscription, you can get everything that you've seen here that I use on the Vantage level. And if you go to ground.news/DGG, or if you scan the QR code that's on screen, you will get a 50% discount on that Vantage level plan, which will give you, like I said, unlimited access to every feature I've shown you here, plus more. See you on Ground News. Go here, drink, because you keep trying to drink, and I ask you.
I got one step in.
Okay.
I got one
I feel
step
like I'm interrupting you. Yeah.
Collateral. No, I'm just nervous. This is like, I have no idea what to expect coming into this. You told me you got.
Didn't we give you like a whole packet of like show prep or whatever?
No, they give me nothing. But also, it's like I come in, you're making fun of my clothes. You're like, you look like a kid. And
I didn't make fun of your clothes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I said not okay. So also this is nice. I like this outfit. Okay. To be clear. It was the people behind the scenes who were like, "Can we actually put him on looking like that?" And I'm like, "No, he's fine. He's good."
Clearance at Patagonia, or not Patagonia.
North Face. You do a lot of snowboarding?
No, none.
Skiing?
No, nothing. What I do a lot of is staying warm, and I got these at what the is it? Paragon Sports on clearance last spring. So they were like throwing them out. I got these for like $35. They're like $200 pants or something. I'm assuming they're $500 pants, and I got them for nothing.
That's an amazing savings.
But then I just bought them, and so they were new. And, so I wanted to wear them, but it was already like close to April. So I was sweating pretty bad in the studio. And then I spilled an entire jar of paint all over red paint, and it splattered all over them. And I had to spend.
What were you doing with the jar of red paint?
I don't know what we painted I hired my friend. I don't know if anyone's watched the Adam Friedland show outside of you.
Yeah. Oh, we watched so many episodes on stream.
Well, you probably haven't seen it very early on. So initially it was just like, we had a podcast and then we didn't, and was like, let's just do something else. And I was like, let's rent a studio space. And like, there was an idea to have it become what it is now, but like, we didn't know how to do it. We didn't know what to do at all. We like figured it out on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
So for the first month or so, we were shooting like test episodes. We would call them like test episodes. And there's one early one. If you see, I'm dressed up like Dracula and Adam interviews Dracula. Dracula was technically the first guest on the show.
Okay.
And, my friend John, I hired to paint the studio, and that was the day he was there. So the man's ass that like swings behind Adam's head on the ladder, that's John. And John's very kind of, John's like a props guy, and he's good at what he does, but he came in to paint, and he told us that those things, the sprinkler, I think those are those risers? When sprinklers go laterally, when like fire suppression is, I don't know.
Is it on risers? Are those like the
no? I
that
think
hold it up,
there's a name for when pipes go up and down, and there's one for when they're just lateral.
Okay.
And now I see this one's painted red, and John said, "Oh, you have to paint those red. That's code." And then the landlord came in. He's from Ukraine, and
how does that matter?
Well, because you love Ukraine.
Okay.
I don't know. I thought maybe aren't you like a Ukraine guy?
Sure. Okay. Awesome. Okay. I'm way more connected to this story now that you told me.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Okay,
you're like,
ahead.
oh, I was waiting for.
Yeah. Okay. Now I know why.
He's like, what do you paint? You can't paint this red. Those are the red. Only the ones up and down are red. This one, no, you got to do that all over again, right? So that's why we had the red paint, is so that John could paint those. But he got there's like 2 pipes, and there's like 9 buckets. There's like all these extra buckets of red paint sitting around.
Why weren't they already painted red? Did you install like a new fire suppression system in the studio?
I don't think it's code that they have to be painted red. I think only the ones in the hallway that go up and down have to be painted red.
Okay,
so the whole room was white, I guess, and then we painted the walls black, and then the office hunter green.
Is this a studio that I was in, or is this a different?
Yeah, it was one you're in. Yeah.
Then they let you paint that studio.
Well, it's a commercial space. You can do whatever the you want.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. I hope that's the rule.
Well, if the Ukrainian landlord came in and he okayed it, then it's probably fine.
We put in like all that. What's that?
If the Ukrainian landlord came in.
He hates it. He hates that, anything that you do.
What year was this?
He's like, what is this that you do this? Why is the plant's going to, the whole building going to turn into plant if you do this? Come on, guys,
right?
You're crazy. Yeah, he's always doing that. He's always doing this move. And he's got pointy shoes. He's got these
like Santa Claus?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. He's got these little pointy shoes, and he goes, come on, you guys, you do this. and then he goes off.
Is he like older, like 60s or like?
He's probably in his late 60s. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Nice guy.
How long have you lived in New York for?
11 years. And that's the other thing too. And I say, okay.
Okay.
Because I feel like I'm boring you. And
No, I'm listening. I'm captivated.
Oh, okay.
Listening. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we can't see the chat. It's over here saying, why is he talking
No,
about
they're
pipes?
spamming like LOL. This is
Why is he talking
the
about
funniest thing.
Why is he talking about pipes right now? I don't know. Who is this guy? Super Mario over here talking about all these goddamn pipes he's talking? They're probably calling me fucking like this guy thinks he's Super Mario. Well, he's not. He's fucking not, dude. That's what they're saying about me.
Who'd you live before you New York?
Well, no, I wanted to say this.
Oh, you wanted to say something, yeah.
Yeah, so my vague understanding of things is you're
of New York, or?
Well, no. So you're like there's like so the Democrats need to get on the internet somehow, right? In vague terms, that's sort of what's
vague. That's a very
not your goal in particular, but that's something that's being considered. It's like
Democrats are trying to
figure out a new media
out how to,
strategy, something like that.
Yeah.
And you're involved in that,
something like that, yeah.
And then, is this true or not? Because I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you do have, part of this beef with Hassan is like this, like, sort of fissure between the online liberals and the online leftists, which you see as being.
I don't know where you're going with this. So I'll say roughly.
Where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
I have perceived some disdain for like the New York set, whatever you want to call the New York socialists or whatever. I feel like you don't like New York.
And I love New York as a city.
But that's the kind of stuff you don't like. And I'm going to say you can't come to Bushwick. You can't come here and stay in Bushwick and be like, you're putting yourself in that position.
I can totally do that.
No, you should be staying.
And I can bring I can turn these people
I know,
to be more like me.
Those guys don't listen.
There's a
75-year-old man doing kickflips outside. This is not the neighborhood where you go to one of the Seinfeld neighborhoods,
What's that?
Upper West Side,
That's in the city still, right?
It's in the city, yeah. Go see a better part of New York.
You said I was going to move here.
I didn't say you were going to move here.
Well, why are you telling me I can't then?
I didn't say, no. I'm saying when you come to visit.
Oh.
If you have a negative perception of New York, don't come to Bushwick.
I have a really positive perception of New York.
Okay, then I was wrong.
I like New York.
Then I was wrong.
My issue with a lot of the
and Hassan doesn't even live here.
Of course. This is my issue with the political people. Okay, is that like people on the right will hate everything. They'll hate America, the system, the government, whatever,
but they love hats.
Everything. They do like,
and that's relatable.
But more importantly, they like voting.
Yeah.
And people on the left will hate everything. They'll be like, this is why we're not going to vote for either of them. And it's like, well, okay, this isn't working. I think that's my big issue.
Is that they don't vote.
Yeah.
So if they voted, if
Hassan said every single thing the exact same, but he was like, we got to vote for the Dems in the election, then I'd be like, okay, fine. I still disagree with a lot of what he says, but I'd be like 1,000 times more okay with it.
You think he didn't vote?
No.
Yeah. That's probably right.
Yeah.
I guess. But this time it was like, what, genocide versus abortion or whatever?
Well, it would have been genocide versus genocide plus abortion and everying else if you think it's genocide. Because it's not like Trump's going to be better on it, right? Or do you think Trump has a lot of love for Palestinians?
What didn't the ceasefire I don't know. I just, look, I mean, I have the Apple News app, so I don't know. But from what Apple
You should get
News
on Ground News, ground.news/DGG.
Do they
to
have oh, is that
50% discount code
you have
on the
your
Vantage
own news
plan.
now? Or do you have a promo code
Sponsor
for the news?
it, yeah. That's
all.
Fair and balanced. There you go.
I need to figure out how to do that. I just have like kratom companies, which is fine because I've had a kratom problem in the past, so that makes sense.
That's good.
That they would
find that when your sponsor links go through like Tor though to buy the product.
Yeah, right.
Probably not
what I don't like is that I've had offers from every single pill company.
Okay.
Which it's like. Okay, but why me?
You turned 36 and you're a guy. And
this was back in my 20s.
Oh, shit.
They're like, oh, his audience, they probably, none of their
Jesus.
Yeah, or probably him, And it doesn't, but how do you know? You know what I mean?
You should ask them.
How do they know?
Why are you contacting me?
The algorithm.
Oh.
That's why.
Now the algorithm. Now it's
bro.
Now it's
I wish
AI,
Marianne was here already.
She's on her way.
I don't know anything about her, but I would just love to be like, isn't the real enemy the algorithm? And she would be like, fuck, that is.
Hey, dude.
Yeah.
I like when my enemies are like impossible to identify, so I can just rage against the world and not do anything about it.
The algorithm?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that even an enemy? I don't even know what that is. I say it all.
Nobody seems to.
I had like a 30-minute conversation about the algorithm the other day with like 3 people. And then at the end, I'm like, do any of us know what that means?
You know, like in
and we know not a single word was said. We just separated.
it's like The Man.
Kind of, yeah. It is
Yeah.
like The Man,
Yeah.
yeah. Except now the man's a robot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still controlled by men though, like
Yeah.
Trump.
So, but Trump's not the algorithm.
Nobody controls it.
Yeah.
So
Do you
we should
think
vote
he
against him.
uses computers and stuff?
He's
He's such an 80s guy. I imagine that he's got like a Bloomberg terminal, but like not. I don't see him using technology other than like a vending machine.
I feel like for people in that area, it's hard to
He just
tell.
has a lot of like gold pens.
Yeah, I don't know like how much they actually engage with anything. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how much is like an act or like.
Has anyone
this guy
seen
really
my
knows.
gold pen? And then he just writes down. Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
No, yeah.
No. That's not even a good Trump impression. I do probably the worst one.
Well, I feel like of all the impressions you could practice, it would be. You've had like 8 years.
Yeah. Well, I've never practiced an impression. It's like sometimes you just like surprise yourself and you do one. Like you're in the car. And for me, it's always been ones that it's like people that I kind of already sound like. Like I had a Tucker Carlson one that went, we have the same voice, I think.
Do you have the
He
same?
just said, we have a very similar voice. It's not hard for me to, it's just,
you have a similar cadence.
yeah,
Too. Yeah.
well, no, that's me doing his cadence.
Oh,
but
okay,
I think
okay,
that we
okay,
have the same box.
Maybe. Yeah. Close enough. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would love to do, you should do his show, dude.
I don't think he would ever have me on,
Whatever
but
is like,
I'd love to.
whatever his like denim sauna is that he has now as a podcast.
What is a denim sauna?
I think that's the name of the show. It's Tucker's Denim Sauna, and he brings people in and he wears like a denim suit and they're in a sauna,
Okay.
you know, and he's got a TV behind him and the sun's.
Are you talking about like the cabin that they're in?
Is that a cabin?
I assumed it was like a cabin.
I thought it was supposed to be the sauna from Challengers.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Another pop culture reference that I don't
I'm
get.
sorry. Well, yeah.
Oh my god! What is
Yeah.
Challengers?
Challengers is a tennis movie that came out last year.
Oh,
That's just sort of, it looks gay, but it isn't.
is that what you tell everybody?
Well, kind of. Yeah, sort of. And I don't know. It's weird. It's like, it's almost like, I don't know who made the movie, but you would think that that would get called out for being like not stolen valor, but appropriation.
I think we've moved. I think gay people are like normal enough now that we don't really factor them in anymore.
Yeah, but if anything is like stealing from gay, because everything does ultimately.
Yeah, but isn't the
almost
thing,
all
like-
culture goes back to Paris is Burning. Specifically, it's pretty
I
crazy.
don't know much about that, but weren't the gays accused of stealing from like black culture?
But that's what I mean.
It was like black men to
yeah,
black women to gay men.
right.
to-
But that's
yeah.
that's the Paris is Burning kind of, you know.
I don't know what the that means.
It's a
Fill me in.
It's a documentary.
Oh, another
about
pop culture reference.
ball
Okay.
culture in
Gotcha.
New York.
Any other
I'm
movies?
sorry.
or
I'm not trying
directors you
to.
wanna
I'm
throw out
not.
there?
I'm
No, it's
literally.
cool.
I'm not trying to be like.
The thing is, all the film that I watch is like
have you ever
from
read,
Japan in the 1920s.
yeah.
It's black and white. You know,
Yeah.
you can't watch a lot of it anymore because the atomic bombs like contaminated a lot.
I'm
of the
talking
film,
about a
so you got to
movie that
fly there and watch it.
Teenagers
like,
dressing up like ladies, and you sit there like Archie Bunker, and you're like, "Can you believe this fucking shit?"
Believe this guy.
That's what I do with the movie. But no, I'm not trying to like check you on
Flex your
on
pop culture history
on pop
knowledge.
culture.
No, it's good.
references.
It's good.
I am I am a comedian, and that's 90% what the job is you just watch things, and then you nowadays, I mean, you're like, remember this, you know, and people are like, yes, dude, yes,
Hilarious.
right, exactly.
Didn't South Park call those? Are they member berries?
Pretty much, yeah. That's how it works. Yeah, that's what comedy is.
What
What?
do you think?
It's a
what?
job.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's a living. Remember that from the Flintstones? The bird, laugh.
Oh,
Laugh,
yeah,
laugh,
'cause
laugh,
you
laugh,
always
laugh.
do
The
that.
Flintstones bird. We all remember the Flintstones
Yeah.
bird. See? That's how it works.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this real? What is this?
Is it real? What do you mean? As in,
Is
what?
it a
an
real
illusion?
plant or is it a
Are you asking if it's like a living, breathing? It's real. It's not. You can see it. It's not. It's not like a 3D projected image.
Okay. Well, hold on.
Uh-huh.
We could be in the Matrix.
Oh, I remember the Matrix. You
Yeah,
did it again. The
but-
reference. Yeah.
We could be in the Matrix.
Okay.
Do you disagree with that?
We could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you better save that energy for Marianne, because I don't think she would be happy to find out
That she's in the Matrix. That I think we could
you
be.
don't think that it's even a possibility.
Of course, I think it's a possibility.
Well, then how can you tell me with certainty? You know that's not even the question that I'm asking. I'm
What's the
asking
question
I'm asking if it's a real plant. You know I'm asking that.
I don't. You showed up in a f***ing
What does-
Alaskan
how-
Inuit hat and
Yeah, because I have intention.
Okay. Well, maybe the intention is to ask me. No. What happened is you would say, "Is this real?" And I would say, "No, it's fake." And you go, "Really?"
Because I put these clothes on 6 weeks ago, and I haven't changed them because I said these are the clothes that I want to wear, right? Because I have a.
As soon as we reached out to invite you 6 weeks ago, you're like, "This is the outfit."
These are I said I'm going to put it on. I have a funny story to tell.
Uh-huh.
I don't even know if you'll like it.
Okay,
It probably
I'm sure I
won't be
will.
a funny story, but I mentioned it recently. There was a comic in DC named Jake Young, who was a very funny guy, but he was part of this like nerd comedy thing. He was a nerd. He was like a big fat guy, like comic books and movies and stuff. Funny comic, But he got an opportunity to open for Brian Posehn. You probably don't know who that is. He's Patton Oswalt's like Ernie to Patton's Bert.
Okay, gotcha.
So he's like this big guy. They had a thing together called the Comedians of Comedy, and Jake, this was a big opportunity for Jake to open for Brian Posehn, and he knew that Brian Posehn liked smoking weed, and Jake didn't smoke weed, so he went to our friend Jordan, and he was like, this was like a month before the show. He's like, can you roll me a joint so that when I'm in the green room with Brian Posehn, I can be like, oh, you don't happen to want to smoke a joint, do you? And pull out a joint. And so Jordan was like, yeah, sure. And like Jake was like, really? And he's like, yeah, of course. And he's like, great. And then Jordan's like, well, you meant like right now? And he's like, well, yeah. And then I would just hold on to it. So he had Jordan roll him a joint a month in advance, right? The Brian Posehn joint. And he held on to the joint. And he held on to it for like 3 weeks. And then one night, Jordan and Jake, they went to go see Wally, right? And Jordan tells him, he's like, Jake, so you plan to just hand him a joint and then not smoke it yourself? Like that would be weird. He's like, you should smoke weed. And then so Jake's like, oh, God damn, you're right. I didn't even think about that. So he like pops his cherry and he smokes the Brian Posehn joint at Wally, which you know what Wally is, right?
Yeah, the Pixar movie.
Okay, right. Yeah.
With the robot. Yeah,
right.
I got that one. Don't worry.
And then he had to run out of the theater because he thought the people next to them were texting the police that he was high. And he was 28 at the time.
It was the first time he'd ever smoked or something?
Yeah, it was the first time, but he smoked his special Brian Posehn joint. And I guess that relates to you mentioning that I picked out my outfit 6 weeks before.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What a relational story. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's charming.
Did he ruin his reputation?
I think it's sweet.
Did they end up getting along afterwards? Or was
I don't even remember what happened. I just remember thinking it was so funny that he had to leave Wally because he thought people were texting the police that he was high. I mean, that's pretty funny to me.
Do you smoke a lot of weed?
I don't. Yeah. No, I don't really do anything anymore. A lot of
playing the Control on the Switch or PlayStation or whatever, huh?
Yes, that. Yeah, I play games. I read. I watch movies. I ride the exercise bike. That's been a big thing. That's part of the waking up early. Is I've been trying to. You have an Apple Watch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So you get you probably. I would be shocked. I don't even want to know this information because it would upset me. But does it tell you your cardio fitness is low?
That's personal health information. I don't release that. I'll tell you off. Okay,
well, my watch is like, you're dying. Like, it just tells me that all the time. So I'm trying to
get your cardio up.
Yeah, right. So I go for walks and I try to, get my heart rate down and my pace up and stuff. And yeah, which I've never really done before. I thought about the other day. I'm like, because I've never gone for a run. I don't think once in my life, ever. Maybe once or twice,
Just the exercise bike.
The exercise bike is new, but it was like, maybe I should start running, and I think I just approached it the wrong way because I'm an idiot, right? So like anytime the 1 or 2 times I've tried to run, I'm like, you go outside and you run as fast as possible until you're out of breath and then you take a cab home. And it's like, that's not the way.
It's like impressive to fuck up running. Yeah. I feel like we've been doing it for like hundreds of thousands of years.
Well, yeah, my in my mind, the way you get better at like any type of cardio is
by taking a cab at the end of it.
Well, you go as hard as you can, and then the next time, but then you're just going to exhaust yourself, which obviously is probably intuitive to a lot of people. But yeah, you can start running by just going slow as shit.
Yeah, for sure. Are you going to do any more stand-up?
I probably have to. I mean, that's
Jeez, that's kind of depressing.
That pays a bill. Well, I don't have anything written. I just at the end of the year, I kind of wrap up the hour, and so I gotta like write a new hour before I can go back out on the road because I don't want to hit markets and like go back to a town and then have people see the same shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have an hour right now that you currently perform?
No, I'm done. I toured all last year on like basically the same group of ideas. So I got to figure something else out, which would require. That's the other problem is like stand-up's only at night. I told my agents, if you can figure out how to put together, I don't care if I made like 12 grand a year doing it, but if you could put together a tour where all the shows
Or like 2 p.m.
10:30 in the morning, get people. I'll do fucking AA meetings. I don't care, but like get it out of the way in the beginning of the day. That would be a dream come true.
Do you have like a dream venue you want to do stand-up in
That
you haven't been able to?
No, I mean, the comedy clubs, they kind of figured out the formula for what makes a good comedy club in the 1980s. Like the best clubs are, and every comic says this, it's like, oh, smaller, more intimate stuff, but like Side Splitters in Tampa, that club's like perfect. That's it. It's just Side Splitters, I'd say. No, the Hyenas in Fort Worth, that's a great club.
Are these all places you performed in before?
Yeah.
When you're writing like a new hour's worth of material, I'm curious, as your life slows down, not to say that that's what's happened to you, do you find it hard to like talk about stuff more, or?
No, because it's like, I mean, and then maybe I could just be lazy, but it's like really the more you do stand up, the less it's like a discrete process of writing and performing. You have to learn how to like kind of synthesize the two. So writing a new hour is just going up on stage and bombing over and not having anything to say until there's like one thing here, and then you kind of just like piece it together. And then after like a weekend or two, you have generally an hour that you can say, and then you figure out how to make it funnier as like the year goes on.
Is it just you, or do you ever get like feedback from comic friends, or
No,
like
that kind of stuff is all like, you do that when you're like younger, I'd say, but I don't know any like, like comics that have been doing it 15, 20 years that like sit down and write with friends or get feedback from friends or any of that stuff. Maybe, I don't think anybody does that.
Besides the stand-up stuff, are you doing anything besides the production stuff on the Adam Friedland show, or?
No, and that's the other thing. I mean, I'm at sort of a crossroads, I guess, in my career. I got to figure out what's next, and then I don't really have anything to offer people outside of that. Like, I would love to get in on whatever this is, where the Democrats are like,
you're in on it right now. Dude.
I know, but if the Democrats were coming to me and they're like, you have to tell us about this game Control and the Brian Posehn joint, I would be like, maybe we'll see. You
have to balance it out with all your other big media connections.
I'll be needing some $1,000, please, or whatever Marianne Williamson is paying you. Whatever you're being paid for by notorious Zionist Marianne Williamson.
Yeah, George Soros, I think, covers most of this. But
does anybody know that guy? Does he have any friends? Is it like, Soros? Is he getting calls in the middle of the day from like Bert, his best friend? He's like, can you see what these motherfuckers are saying about you? And he's like, just forget about it, Bert. Who gives a shit?
I really don't know.
Who is George Soros?
That's
Who
a good
fuck
question.
is that?
And it's very frustrating too, because like people talk about,
it's just some
like the new Soros, like where the fuck is this?
But you see on all the fucking time. We all intimately know how much this guy sucks or doesn't, whatever your opinion of him is, right?
Yeah.
I know nothing about George Soros.
I feel like he went to like the World Economic Forum.
How much I hear his name, I should know what his penis looks like at this point.
At least.
How often I've heard the name George Soros. Who is he? I know he made one deal. He bet against the British pound or the sterling or something like that, right? That's where he made all his money.
I don't know.
One big gamble. That's it. That's the only thing.
No clue. Okay. I just know I don't see any of his shit anymore, which is very frustrating. We need a George Soros.
But what is his shit? That's what I mean. What is his shit?
It's like philanthropy and like worldwide shit or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was an investor that like he bet right one time, and now he's like, yes, let's fucking do George Floyd or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. Was he on the George Floyd part of that, or the Derek Chauvin
he paid Derek. My understanding of the theory is he paid Derek Chauvin to kill George Floyd so that they could do riots.
Oh shit!
And that Kyle Rittenhouse could shoot that pedophile that I think molested George Soros' son. And so I think that makes sense. That's my understanding of the events.
Oh, that's why when they put George in the back of that car, he's like, I need to be on the ground.
Yeah, right. They put him in the back.
They already
first.
had like rehearsed it, and they knew that. Yeah,
you gotta kill me.
Yeah,
you gotta kill me so my wife can get the $50.
Shit, and that's why it took him so long, because he was like, Derek probably legitimately felt some internal turmoil, because he's like, this is an innocent guy I have to kill.
Well, he's a fake knee. You didn't know that, did you?
Fake knee?
His legs are plastic.
Jesus.
Yeah, Derek Chauvin has.
Do you think he put like rocks in them that night so he could?
Yeah, he had to weigh down. Yeah. Yeah, like a bobsled.
Jeez.
You ever see Cool Runnings?
Finally.
You've seen it?
Yes. What an amazing movie.
It's a great movie.
Wait. Hold on. Hold on.
Maybe
One
you
check.
just
Is it
haven't-
John Candy? Was that the guy? Or did I get the name
yeah,
wrong?
he's the coach.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now this is real, true cinema. Yes.
Yeah. And then he was a
Amazing movie.
disgraced bobsled guy because he got caught weighing down his bobsled.
True.
And he's like, maybe I'll get a couple of blacks to do my job for me. And then he went down to Jamaica and then taught them bobsledding. And that's it. Is it a true story?
It must be, right?
I
It's
think
so
so.
inspirational.
Yeah,
Fuck,
yeah.
if that's not a true story, I'm gonna feel real bad now.
So every time I hear it, it'll never make me like, I'll never stop chuckling at the idea that there was a famous fat man named Jonathan Candy. I mean, that's,
Listen, if we have Anthony Weiner, okay.
Imagine you met a big fat guy and you're like, what's your name? And he's like, Jonathan Candy. You know, I mean, it's like, come on, man.
Somebody's got to live your life.
Yeah,
you know?
Eric Cinnabon. And I'm 450 pounds. Nothing.
What I don't know how to follow this up.
What? Think of other
Is this
people.
the slowest you've been? I don't know anybody. Eric Cinema's not a real name.
The slowest I've been.
What about the slowest your life has been?
Oh, the slowest.
Like, is this like the most transitional period of
I
your
don't
life?
know. We discovered the other night we're birthday brothers, right? We're the same age.
Oh, because you were born like a day after me, right?
No, we figured it out with the time zone. I was actually born before you, but
Okay.
yeah.
I don't think that's how that works.
That's
but
well,
okay.
yeah. No, we did.
Gotcha.
I'm older than you.
Wait, in '88, we're like the exact same.
We're the exact same age, dude.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that like intimidating that you see me like doing so much stuff and you're like taking cabs home
Well,
after running? Or?
I don't see you doing so much stuff. I'm pretty checked out.
Oh, what the
Yeah. I know what I've seen you
Too
do
many
is
video games.
what I've seen you do is the Adam Friedland show, which is fine. What's wrong with video games?
Nothing.
No.
If you're
I
a
mean,
child.
maybe now that I know that you're getting fucking Soros money, it's like, yeah, I'm jealous of that. Does that make you feel good? Is that what you want people to feel? You want them to feel bad because
Yes.
you're doing
and
well?
intimidated. Yeah.
Yeah.
But only because I'm trying to make you better.
Isn't better in what way?
You've seen the movie
Everybody's
Whiplash?
on their own path.
Seen-
Do you want somebody who works at a grocery store to feel bad when they see you doing well?
Yeah, he should be an assistant manager.
Well, then who the is going to work at the grocery store?
A new kid who's going to be brought in and made to feel bad.
So
that he can become an
child
assistant
labor
manager.
is what you want. You want an endless.
I just want a
stream of
continuous
child
treadmill
slaves?
of people being pressured to be better. That's the American dream.
No, it's not. People should be free to exist as they are. We need people that don't want to do shit other than work in a grocery
Really,
store.
what if they exist as pals?
That's not a job.
It can be.
Well, I'm sure you'll be parading them all through this studio.
Epstein and Tate,
right.
didn't these guys make a living doing stuff?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But would you say that his job was pedophile? I don't think that was his job.
Maybe it was like a qualification for the job.
In the same way that like a janitor's job isn't garbage.
No,
You know
but
what I
being able to
mean?
like
It's
deal
like-
with garbage is probably like
Exactly. That makes him a janitor, right? So
Yeah.
Epstein his job isn't being a pedophile. Imagine a janitor that every once in a while finds like half of a Big Mac in the trash and he's like, ooh, yum, 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 yum. And one for me, perhaps. That's how he talked. Did
Yeah.
you know that?
Yep, I believe it because I bet his name would have been John Cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Right? Get it? Yeah.
Yeah. John Cheeseburger. But he wasn't fat. If his name was Jonathan Fucks Children. Hi, I'm actor Jonathan Fucks Children. Breaking news. Actor Jonathan Fucks Children caught with child pornography.
Jesus.
Shocking news.
Shocking news.
Yeah,
This happened with Anthony Weiner, right?
it did. Yeah.
Unfortunate. I like that guy a lot.
But you knew he had a penis. I mean, literally
True.
any man could
But
be
it's still a
named
little
Anthony
bit-
Weiner.
Somebody in that courtroom was giggling when they were.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully.
Fuck.
Was he the one that was Carlos Danger? That was his.
Carlos Danger?
Isn't that what he like called himself?
That sounds like a
on that?
Mexican superhero.
Yeah, no, that was his like. Wasn't Carlos Danger Anthony Weiner's like nom du fuck on
I
the internet?
don't know what Carlos Danger is. I just have no idea.
Could somebody fact check that?
Is
Is
that a
right?
comic book name or
It's right. Yeah.
what is that?
That's what he would call himself over text
Oh,
messages when he was.
okay.
Yeah. When he was. I don't even remember what he got in trouble for, other than he like cheated on what's her name, Huma Abedin. Is that it?
That sounds like a brand of hummus.
No, it's like she's Hillary Clinton's hummus manager.
She was her aide. I
She
think,
gets all of her her
because they
hummus.
got
Hillary's-
they got more emails.
Yeah.
That way. I remember that the emails. That was a big deal.
Hillary's embryo hummus. She grinds them all up. She's like, "Where's my pita bread? I need my embryo hummus."
Hey, have you seen a movie called?
I can't be saying these things on your show, man. I'm
You
gonna
can say
blow it
whatever
for
you
you
want,
with the
dude. You're
Democrats.
fine. Don't worry.
We're trying
They're
to
in transit right now, so
see.
she's not watching.
This is the difference. It's
Yeah.
like I see you doing well, and I'm like, how can I help? And I can't. I can only make things worse, right? But in my heart, what I want to do is help. That's
This
the
is
difference.
endurance training.
I don't
for me.
want
It's good.
people.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want
This is
people. What does that mean? It's endurance training.
Like if I can survive this,
What?
like I'm
Come
good
on,
to go.
man. What do I need to do
I'm
for you to
running
have a
as
good
fast
time?
as I can to the end of the block, and Marion is my cab ride back. That's what we're doing right now.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'm sorry. I'm
Shut up! Don't apologize. Now
I'm
you make me feel like an
fucking
asshole. Like I'm bullying you.
Well, you're an asshole if you want the people who don't have,
I thought you said
an
you had a lot.
illustrious streaming career.
Working
No,
on
I got
that.
going to the sauna. I got fucking.
People can hear you in all of the Adam Friedland videos laughing in the background sometimes, right?
Yeah. Well, sometimes I was actually only there. That was the first one I went to in a while.
Oh, I'm so honored.
Yeah.
I think. Why'd you
That
come
one,
to
and I
mine?
went to the Tom Fontana one, which will probably never come out.
You didn't go to the Cuomo one?
I was out of town.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
That would've
no, I
been
wasn't there for
So
that.
mad. What? How did you guys get him?
We had a talent booker for a while. So when we first started the show, it's funny because it's like things kind of what we set out to do initially, we put all the pieces in place right away. But then things kind of like fell apart. The main thing was like, I don't want to. The talent booker did kind of fuck us to a certain degree. But
And then having to do all the red painting on the
the
risers.
red paint.
and
Well,
everything.
that part was fun, dude. Yeah, it's fun to get your
The
hand.
Ukrainian
Get
Santa
hands
Claus guy.
covered in. Yeah, that guy.
Okay, so you had a talent booker.
We had a talent booker.
But
So the talent booker, we paid a lot of money to the talent booker. It's like it's a big talent booking firm.
okay,
And so they got us Cuomo, they got us Neil deGrasse Tyson, and then that was it. Out of like a pretty big, I think maybe one other. They got us Tom Fontana, which was who I suggest. I was like, oh, you should do Tom Fontana. That'd be fun. And then I don't think Adam will ever release that interview. He thinks. Well,
am I allowed to ask?
He only had he was only there 30 minutes, and like Adam, I don't think really knew who
30
he was.
minutes.
Yeah,
Damn.
they got Ernie Hudson also.
Where is the fans want to know?
Mm-hmm.
Where is the Hassan episode?
Well, you would know this. It's Adam Adam edits his stuff. They're his interviews and he crafts the narrative. But
he edits it himself?
Well, a guy edits and he stands there vaping and he goes, like fucking. He goes, he loves words. Adam loves he'll hear a word he'll pick up a technical jargon. That's what he loves. His jargon. So he'll go J cut. And then like, what the fuck are you talking? He heard someone say J cut already. He loves saying radio edit. He's like, we're going to do a radio pass on it first.
Okay. All right.
But no, I think like a hefty chunk of the labor is taking out all of the vaping. Because Adam doesn't want his dad to see him vaping. And
so it's taking, wasn't this like a year old?
I don't know when
it's taking that long to cut vaping out?
Well, then they moved on to, they did yours, and I think you shot some other. I don't know.
Jesus. Okay.
For the last 2 years, what this has been is like, I have my like gay little art projects that I want to do, and so I just insert those into this because there's no place for them otherwise. And it's basically been embezzlement by me to do like not even sketches, but just shoot weird things. And now that's probably come to an end, I guess. But
why do you say that? I told you before
because I don't think it would be fair going on beyond this point. I'm
you
hamstringing.
You just take, be a taker. I told you when my audience we were watching the Cuomo episode that it was really funny because it was like split where half of them were like, skip this gay shit. This is the worst thing I've ever seen. And the other half were like, you can't skip it. This is the most important stuff. Yeah. At the beginning of the
The answer is neither. It's like I had an idea and I wanted to do something.
It's still cool. I like it. I respect it.
Yeah.
To be experimental. You got your cool little lenses and your 4x3, whatever shots.
4:3.
Yeah.
4:3. Which I guess it's like people thought that was because movies used to be in 4:3, but it's like what I wanted to do was, we built the joke was like we would go on shows and I would say like we're doing a talk show like no one's ever seen before, and then it premieres and it's just the set of the longest running talk show that has ever been on TV, right? So that's why it's like the dick cap. It was the joke in and of itself, right?
Okay.
And so, but I wanted 4:3 because I was, it was broadcast on TV, so it's 4:3 and shoot it at 30 frames per second or whatever.
I think TV is like isn't it like 23.9?
29.97.
29.97.
29.97. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're still doing, would you want to be involved with that if you're not getting to do your cool art projects anymore? Like,
well, there's no real capacity for me to, there's nothing for me to do. You know what I mean?
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's depressing.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. It's fine.
Are you just going to remove yourself from it?
I mean, it's yet to be seen, I guess, but I mean, essentially, yeah. I mean, like, yeah, like if I were to continue, like, hey, we have to do this thing. It's like it doesn't add it. It doesn't like as far as like, especially on the internet. It's like you gotta, how it is. You gotta fucking like you constantly have to be streaming and putting stuff out and like doing stuff, and that's not really the way, or at least in terms of those contributions, how it'll ever really work. It's like I kind of like to just how I've ever done anything is I sit around doing fucking nothing forever, and then every once in a while I'm like, oh, how about this? And then I'll do something, and then maybe that'll happen 5 times in 6 months, and then maybe it won't happen for a year. I need to go back and like, I used to have these long periods. I would almost call it like soaking, where I would just consume media or whatever. I'd read, I'd watch movies, I'd draw, I'd do nothing. And then, then if I wanted to do something, I would. But like, I don't really, I mean, podcasting was easy because it was just a conversation, but I don't like anything outside of that. I don't think I could really do as a, like a content creator beholden to a schedule.
Do you feel like when you look at like how YouTube and pre-YouTube used to be, where it's just like a bunch of people who were kind of like, I just want to throw wacky shit online and see what works, as opposed to like the commercialized, whatever, environment we live in now. Do you think that like something has been lost? Do you think it's better, worse, just different? How do you feel?
I'm really the wrong guy to ask because I'm not a YouTube guy. Like I was never on YouTube really. Like I didn't
never consumed any internet content.
Well, no, I mean I was on the internet when I was younger, but I would like you're talking about like being on like IRC,
Okay.
I mean I'd be in like fucking chat rooms and stuff. When YouTube became a thing, I just never really gravitated towards YouTube. So I wasn't like even, and I don't say this in the way you would, where it would be like a biting comment to be mean, but like,
you're about to say the meanest thing.
No, I'm not really familiar with like the stuff that you do at large or like what streaming, like I told
you. Why
do
you think I would say that to be mean?
Because you do that.
I would never do that.
You're like, so you're the shittiest comedian in the world? And I'm like, well,
Jesus,
I don't know. Yeah,
enough for me to build a caricature of me in your.
Well, I don't know. I don't. I was hoping to replace this guy with, this gremlin idea I have.
Yeah, you dress the part for it. So.
I do. Yeah. But, no, I just don't really. I was never really on YouTube. Even when we had the old podcast, it's like I never even thought to put it on YouTube. Because I'm like, what the fuck is YouTube? I don't like. It just never really. Yeah, I don't think in terms of like. I can't answer, do I think something is lost because I don't know what it was versus what it is now?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. That makes sense. When you put you on the Adam Freeland Show's YouTube channel, you put your comedy special up there.
I did, yeah, just because, I mean, the comedy special, and it's, I mean...
When you were filming that, were you thinking like this is going to go online, so I have to do it a little different? Or was it just you just filmed whatever?
No, I knew it was going to go online because there wasn't going to be an opportunity to sell it. It's like, that was, I mean, look, like the reality right now is since like COVID ended or whatever the reason is for it, the last couple of years, there's been an insane amount of money in stand-up comedy, right? And I kind of really, when I like moved to New York, I moved here just because I wanted to live in New York, and then I had a job. I had a freelancing contract with
typing.
Okay. And I got so good at typing. No,
you're like finally all that IRC time is like.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
So I got a job as a professional.
So I found that
secretary.
I have Parkinson's.
Yeah.
I had a freelancing contract with. Do you remember the website Thought Catalog? It was
like
a bad
THOT or THOU?
THOUGHT.
No, I don't know.
It was a bad website that I had an ex-girlfriend that loved, and then she broke up with me. So I spitefully made a parody of Thought Catalog. And then the guy that owned Thought Catalog was like, hey, this is funny. Why don't you can just write these articles on my website that I own. And so I did this like mommy blogger character for like 2 years. And this was when I moved to New York. I moved here and I initially tried to go find a job, which the only way I've ever done that is by just going and like knocking on doors. And it was like right around the time where you can't do that anymore. You have to apply online and stuff. So at the time I was limited to like 6 articles a month. That was the contract they gave me. And it was like, you know, I'd moved here. I was living in a small room in Chinatown. There was a acupuncturist, and the whole back of the floor was like cubicles, basically, that, you know, you could live in for like $300 a month. So it was like the second of the month. It was like a blizzard. I had walked around and couldn't find, like, I'm like, I don't know how to fucking find a job anymore, you know? And I was like, let me just get my articles written for the month, you know, now. So I know I have that $600 at least. And so in 2 days, I just wrote, you know, I mean, they're just dumb, like parody, like, what if a drunk mommy blogger you know, it's like listicles, stuff like that. And one or two of them did well enough, like they got enough traction that the guy that owned the company brought me in, and he was like, look, we'll just give you carte blanche, do whatever the fuck you want. There's no cap on it. So then, like, as soon as I moved here, it was like I'd wake up in the morning, and at the time back then, like, you know, 5 a.m. and then I'd write, I'd get my article off. I didn't have an internet in that place, so I'd write it, and then I would go to Dunkin' Donuts and send it off.
You didn't have this was during COVID.
No, this is like 2013.
Oh, this is way earlier. Okay.
Oh yeah, this is yeah. So
Sorry,
then,
okay.
yeah, I'd send it off, and then
It's still weird you didn't have internet in 2013, but okay.
we didn't have internet in that, you know.
Wait, real quick. When did mTown start?
Either 2016 or 2017. I want to say
Okay.
2016.
Okay.
Because I remember it was around the same time Chapo did. Yeah, I think we both.
I'm gonna be honest, as not consumer of much of any of that.
fine.
Chapo and mTown they still occupy like the same space in my mind.
Well, they occupied the same physical space.
Did
was
they
the
shoot
thing.
in the same studio?
Look, this is what frustrates me.
Okay.
And I don't know. Maybe it's just my perception of things, but like, I don't think I've ever once used, let alone described myself as like dirtbag left. And like, even mTown even being political in any way, it was like, that all just stemmed from like, you know, we're in the same, like, these are my roommates. You know what I mean? Which, like, regardless of what my opinion, it's like explicitly just a stupid podcast. You know, it's like about being as dumb as possible, you know, with your friends. But yeah, it did get that, like, for whatever reason. Yeah, I don't know, being in Brooklyn and part of the same social circle around the same time. It's like, remember there was that guy, Jeff
Bezos?
Stein.
Oh.
Jeff Stein, Jay Stein Vox. He's at the Washington Post now, but
Okay.
he wrote some article that was like, we got a problem with misogyny on the left. And he wrote this article it's like talking about, we got to talk about mTown. It's like, who the you're going to show this to your mom? You're like, your mom's like, you're right. We got a problem with Stav. We have a big problem with Stav saying his penis is small on the left and how that alienates. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then we ran into that guy in D.C.
Okay.
We saw him.
Randomly?
Yeah, randomly.
You hunted him down, absolutely. You probably got his itinerary.
I did. I hunted him down.
And you're like, so in the back of an Applebee's, we just happened to sit at the same table
How
as this
dare you say there's no room for me on the left?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was outside the Florida Avenue Grill. And then it was very bizarre because he was like, as soon as we saw him, we were like, oh, Jay Stein. We thought the article was funny.
How the fuck did you even know what he looked like?
Because he had his profile pics.
Yeah, he posted, and you click through, and you're like, I want to remember this motherfucker.
Yes,
if I ever see him in real life,
you would remember his face. Trust me. If you saw this guy's face, you would remember his face. He has a very unfortunate profile pic. He's actually he's much more handsome in real life. He has a big nose, but in his profile picture, it's one of those noses that like pushes his lip down and covers his teeth.
Okay.
So it's like,
Jesus.
yeah,
Like a Mr. Potato Head, but okay.
kind of, yeah. It's like, you know, the beginning where you can pull Mario's nose down or that sort of thing.
Okay.
But then in profile, it's not as bad. That's what I remember. But we saw him.
So you guys jumped him in real life, and then
We didn't jump him. We saw him. We were like, "Oh, Jay Stein Vox." We're like, "Can we get a picture?" He's like, "Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry." He's like being apologetic, like, you know. It's like we're not like, you know. Yeah, he probably thought we're a couple.
Yeah, dirtbag leftists. You guys are talking about small.
Yeah, these
probably
guys
beat the shit out of somebody,
Yeah, they're gonna kick my ass.
Guy with a small, nothing to lose.
Right, exactly. It's like a Patrick Swayze character, I would imagine.
I've heard of that name before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Guy with a small, nothing to lose. He'll kick your ass because what does it matter?
Do you think your next online, or do you think your next 1 hour special is going to go online?
No, I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know if I did. I had a lot of fun doing stand-up in the last year, and I was doing like an hour that I know that would not tape well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, just doesn't translate well? You think you'd get
it wouldn't
trouble?
no,
Okay.
just wouldn't translate well to video.
I'm curious, do you get irritated if do you want to be like known for something? Like if somebody comes up to you and they're like, oh, you were like the mTown guy, as
No,
opposed to
I
like the
don't.
guy that does stand up. You're like,
No,
I've done like better. You don't care?
no, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, I just want to be happy.
That's such a vague, boring. Why not go do heroin?
Well, because in the end, it doesn't make you happy.
I mean, that's life, right?
Yeah, I mean that's
We all
why
die at some
I
point.
did kratom, and maybe I will do kratom sometimes. I've got another gum surgery coming up. I'll be on Percocet for that week,
Gee, well, good
and
luck.
that will make me happy.
There you
But
go.
you can't do Percocet every day, right?
You
Yeah.
absolutely can until
Yeah,
you die.
yeah.
You can do Percocet for the rest of your life.
It may be vague and it is stupid and it's bullshit, but it's also true.
What?
I'm just wanting to be happy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like when it's too vague, it's like.
But
my
it's
brain
not,
just went
but
political,
it's not vague. Maybe the path there is vague,
Yeah.
but as a goal, it's not vague at all. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Thank you. Good. Thanks.
Okay. Our stand-up that
Mhm.
just materializes by bombing a ton. Do you warn people? Like when you go into a club, you're like, hey, I have to do like by the end of the year, this is going to be really
You don't
funny, but
even
you
have
guys
to-
are like my
You don't
first
even
trial
really have
run.
to warn people. I mean, it's like, it's and that's why it's like, nice to do at a club, because clubs are like, the tickets are $20. It's like, sometimes they have a 2-drink minimum, but you go out and you get drunk, and then, it's like, it's just supposed to be like a good time, and people are there to have a good time. So you can get away with, I call it like buffoonery, I guess, on stage in a lot of clubs. There's some clubs that are very much a skill check, and like you can't do that there. I would say maybe it's more towns than clubs.
Okay.
Like San Francisco, I would say, and Boston too. Both of those places you can't just go up and try to be like, just vibes and fucking, yelling or any of that stuff. They do want like jokes.
Do you have any desire to like be a part of the comedian community, or do you just like doing your own thing?
I don't know what that means.
Like, have you ever got invited to like co-host like a Kill Tony thing, or if you ever got like yeah, like
Well,
like
you know
on
what?
any, like comedian podcast
To be honest with you, up until these are all like personal questions that have to do with me that wouldn't really apply to like being a comedian, I guess, or things I'm trying to figure out in my own life.
Like a comedian.
I know, but it's my answers aren't motivated by anything that has to do with comedy. Maybe it's related to what got me to do comedy in the first place, or whatever. But like, I would say no to doing Kill Tony for the same reason I would have prior to today said no to doing something like this, because it's like I don't really like, it's like I don't know. It's hard for me to explain. And these are like feelings that I've been trying to like figure out in my own head, like honestly in the last like 6 months,
like out of like your comfort zone, or something you feel like you'd excel at? Or
Yeah, well, that's a good way of putting it. Is a comfort zone, and it's not even really excelling at it. It's like I've spent most of my life being motivated by fear, right? And like I've done a lot of things that would seem like they were motivated by like desire or ambition or something, but it's always felt like I've been running away from myself towards like something different, right? And then luckily it just worked out that eventually it was like podcasting or stand up or something.
When you say that, hold on, when you say fear, what do you mean by that?
Like just like I don't know, like fear of like having to spend time with myself. These are things. I also don't go to therapy, so I don't know the right way to describe what these emotions are.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I guess, yeah, to answer the question, and it wouldn't be being part of the comedy community, but yeah, fuck it, I'd do Kill Tony. Why not?
Well, cool. You just changed your answer in like 20 seconds.
But I'm saying up until the same way that like, 6 months ago I said no to doing this, because it's like I don't really know what's expected of me. It's like, is something expected of me? Is there something that people want that I don't know how to do? You know what I mean?
Like I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. Do you like read comments, or so like you said for stand up you don't talk to other comedians. You have the immediate feedback, obviously, of the audience. You have you feel like, how do you know
well, I don't, no, it's like, it's funny because I have pretty limited exposure to comments just because I like pay somebody to run my Instagram and stuff. And I'm not like on there. But it's like, even if I don't see comments, I can imagine them, it's like,
but that doesn't tell you what the people actually feel,
but that's what's important is what's going on inside my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but is that reflective at all of how other people feel about what you're doing?
It doesn't matter, because even then it's still like you're self-selecting. Even if you sat there and read every comment, if you have a negative disposition of yourself, you could have a million comments that say like, you know, this was the best thing I've ever seen. And one guy being like, this is bullshit. Right. And then it's like,
well, but you're aware, you just intellectualize that, so you're aware of it. So can't you just be aware of that and have that? Like, let's say you watch an Adam Freeland thing, okay? And like, they were like 100% of the comments were like, this was the worst thing ever because it didn't have that 5-minute like artsy thing in the beginning that we know that Nick likes.
That's not what people are saying.
I know. See, so you do know. Okay, but then as opposed to, let's say there's a comment section where everybody's like, this was so good, I'm so glad you dumped the Nick shit. Like, in both of those worlds, do you not think that you feel a little bit differently about it and move in a slightly different direction based on what you see?
Do you say did that have an effect or not?
Would it have an effect? Yeah.
I'm sure it would. Well, no. How it would affect? How would it affect what? What do you mean? My emotions in that moment, or what I would do with my life?
What would you do with your life? Yeah.
It wouldn't, because it's like ultimately like I'm going to. I also do things because I want to. You know, it's like before I had anything, like I would sit and I would draw, and it might affect my feelings about myself and my work and such that like I don't put things out. But I will still work, and I find satisfaction in that. So things might end up more in the drawer, but you know, I mean.
So you said you want to do like another hour for this year of stand up.
Well, I'll have to. I mean, I have to tour.
So like, what is motivating that? Is it you have to make money? You enjoy doing stand up? You like the audience?
Well, I do enjoy stand up.
Okay.
You know, sometimes.
Do you enjoy any aspect? If you could make here's a question.
Yeah.
Okay. There are two worlds. In one, you make twice the money, but there's no audience. Some guy, George Soros, pays you to do the exact same stand-up.
But that's not what stand-up is.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's one world. And then in the other world, you make half the money, but you have like 5 times the audience, the laughter, the engagement. Like people will just love it. It's like so much better. Which world do you prefer here? Like if you're thinking.
It's because it's like you kind of have to understand what stand-up is. Stand-up is like, it's not like, and that's kind of why I don't really like stand-up. It's the people that are really good at it, they're like natural performers, right? And for me, it's all like, especially when I started and like when I took it, you know, seriously, and it was what I cared about. It was like, you know, it was sort of like a technical process, and then you check your work with an audience, right? So the idea of like a bunch of people like liking something, even if I crush, even if I do well, it's like the feeling now is like, well, that's what the job is, and that's what I should do. You know what I mean? So that doesn't even really feel like good per se.
Do you ever have a night like where you're like, tonight, like I killed it. The audience was either like we were just super vibing with each other, or I just delivering whatever. Do you ever have like a really standout night, or is it all just like okay?
What makes a set good for me is if I can find a tangent and something new comes out of it. And sometimes that happens and it bombs. It goes terribly, but I know that I think it's funny, and that's all that matters. Like really, you know, at some point, hopefully people laugh at it, or if I can figure out how the idea works. But finding something new with that time on stage is what I get of it. That's the part of it that I like. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just trying to figure out because I've heard dueling motivations for what you do between fear, have to do a job.
Well, fear, I mean,
like
in terms of a lot of decisions I've made in my life overall. I don't mean in terms of like, why I would do stand-up, why I've been doing stand-up in the last 2 years. It's like, yes, I do enjoy doing it. And I've invested a lot of time in it. You know, I mean, I was saying, you know, when I got here, I did start to get paid to write. And then writing got me representation. Like, you know, I got management off writing. And then I was working with comics that I respected because of writing, who I had worked with as a stand-up comedian years prior, and they didn't remember me as a stand-up comedian. You know, they were like, oh yeah, that was you, right? So my stand-up, and also I spent a lot of time as like a middle act, like a feature act. And you have to learn how to just not get fired, I guess, you know, or not like, you know, fucking ruffle feathers. So when mTown like kind of took off, and it's like I did have this opportunity to line up shows that could go headline, I'm going out and I'm doing jokes about like food, you know, all this just like bullshit. So I think people were kind of confused as to, you know, like the reality is I've only been doing stand-up as like a headlining professional since 2022. You know, it's only like 2.5 years, I guess.
It's just like one thing that I feel like I'm missing this, okay? Is the passion. And but like maybe this is like your way of expressing yourself, so I don't know you as well yet, because I'm curious, because I feel like for some people, if this was a Lifetime movie, this is where you'd be like, and in 2022 I could finally headline. But now you're like, it's a little bit different. You know, I'm trying.
Well, it's for me. It feels like I started doing stand up in 2005, so I've been doing it close to 20 years now. And I.
But was there like excitement in 2020? You're like, I'm headlining, like the dream.
For the first decade, yeah. If you could go back 15 years and show myself where I am now, I'd be like, I didn't grow taller. You know, I would be pretty upset about that. But everything else, it was just like, you know, that would be the dream. But I like my assessment of my like of stand up or my ability to do it is what I said. There's like stand up as a medium to be great at it, to be really great at it, and not just somebody that can write jokes. You do have to have like some sort of natural like charisma or like the ability of a performer that I don't think has ever really come natural to me. And I got to a point where it was just like, I don't see myself ever having that. What I can continue to do is write jokes, right? I can continue to write more jokes and I can go perform them. But I feel like I kind of tapped out as far as my performance potential was concerned, like 10 years ago. And then, or even, you know, maybe even longer than that. And, you know, 10 years ago, this is also incredibly boring stuff. I'm sorry.
No, it's not. I think it's interesting.
But you know, I had done Just for Laughs in Montreal. I did New Faces, which at the time that was like a pretty big, you know, that was the brass ring if you grab it, you know, and it didn't lead to anything, you know, and it was like, it just seemed, I looked down the road and it was like, okay, maybe you get a Conan spot. That's $200. That's it. And then those weren't translating to headlining gigs at the clubs either. And then things really started to get dire, like, cause, and this was kind of my exposure to YouTube stuff in real life. I went to Caroline's one time and I was like friendly with the bartender. So I went to talk to him. I was in the neighborhood and the door swings open for the showroom. And like a 10-year-old boy with no expression on his face, like comes out on a scooter. I was like, what the fuck? You know, I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I don't know. There's like a YouTube guy there. And this was like, yeah, like 2014, 2015. So, you know, I go in the showroom and there's like a middle-aged man dressed like a child. And he's like, just remember, you can do whatever you want if you put your mind to it. And he was some like popular YouTuber with 10-year-olds. And he's doing the weekend at the club. And they're like, well, he sells tickets. And it's like, this is really bad. That this is the direction things are going, that the clubs are getting filled up by, you know, YouTube guys. And that still exists with a certain extent with TikTok guys. And then I'll say this is how I feel, because I did start headlining like, you know, 2 or 3 years ago, like all the clubs. I could go through all the clubs and headline. And when I was a young comic and it really meant a lot to me and I like loved comedy and I would do the things you're talking about where I was like, you know, my friends were comedians and we'd go do shows and we'd come home and we'd talk about bits and I'd write things out and I'd be thinking about it all the fucking time and it was the only thing that mattered to me. You would see the guys that would come in, they're like, you know, oh, he's on a sitcom or he's an actor or something and he's headlining a club because he's an actor, and you don't have any respect for those guys, right? You're not hanging out with those guys. It's like you and the host are hanging out, or, you know, like you're not excited to meet those guys, but you understand that they sell tickets and that's who comes through. And then I started headlining as like a guy that had a popular podcast, you know. I gave up on stand up basically 10 years ago. And so it was kind of like a bittersweet thing where
Square this for me, because earlier I asked you.
Yeah.
I think I understand the difference, but I'm just, because earlier I asked you.
You're asking me where the passion was?
No. Earlier I asked you.
I feel that I
get
saw
upset
it
when
through.
people think about you as like a mTown guy versus like a comedian guy. Now it feels like there is kind of like a little bit of a like.
But it's not what people think about me. It's what I think of myself.
Okay.
You know, and that's kind of what people think of me wouldn't bother me if I didn't have negative opinions of myself.
Okay.
And the negative opinions of myself is what would preclude me from doing something like, fuck it, yeah, I'll do Kill Tony, I'll do this. I don't care if I look like an idiot. I don't care if I bomb or I have nothing to say.
Because in your mind you think you'd be there because you were a YouTube guy, not like a comedian guy?
No, just because I think I would do bad. I mean, it's simple.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like I would just like, you know, it's whatever things that like I've just tried to like let those thoughts go. It's the preempting of not necessarily other people's opinions, because it's like, am I making sense here with what I say, in that it's like those, it's not that comments would ring true. It's that they only they're only having an ability to affect you if they're on some level in your head was like, I've already said that about myself.
Yeah, of course.
And I don't like, I don't like that I feel those things about myself. Because ultimately, I'm not a bad guy. I'm just some fucking guy. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't want to live my life that way. You know?
Sure.
So it's like, okay, fine. Yeah. Maybe I am a shit. Maybe I'm not even going to say it. Like, maybe I'm a shitty comic. Like, who cares? Who cares? Fuck it. I'll come do this. I'll do Kill Tony. I'll do whatever.
Okay.
I just want to have a good time.
I kind of understand what you mean about the, if you're like big in YouTube, you can be big in anything, even if you don't deserve it. So like, I went to school for music for a little bit and then I quit because I was working too much. But like today I could release like an album of like bullshit piano stuff that would be like high school level at best, but I could outsell probably 99% of musicians in the world who are infinitely more talented than me just because I have like the YouTube presence.
Let me ask you this. Were you passionate about music at some point before this? So that's something you would have wanted to do. Want to have done.
But I would feel dumb if I'm getting invited to a thing and I know that my performance is not where I want it to be, but I'm getting invited because I got like a big YouTube
and then
show.
here's where it's like further complicated is that like I didn't make it as a stand-up comedian, but I did do it with comedy. Right. I did do it by being funny on a comedy podcast and all this shit. And so it's like hard to really kind of parse out those feelings because, you know, if you were to put out an album, if you were going to tour as a concert pianist and everyone's like, it's great, you'd never believe them because you'd think, you know, like maybe you'd be like, yeah, I am pretty good at piano, but not like it's this other thing that brought it.
Yeah.
If you had been doing musical debate, let's invent a thing. It's like you and Hassan's like, bro, you can't even be thinking that way, bro. And you're like, well, you're wrong. I don't think so, pal. And you're playing the piano the whole time. And
it still would be kind of weird.
It would be very weird.
It would be more difficult to parse out because you are using your talent there, but it's not like in the same way.
I know, but I'm beating a hammer, like I'm hammering an analogy out here.
Yeah, no.
This fucking, you know, so let's say that there's some aspect of
or when I say it's weird, I'm saying the feeling would be weird because I wouldn't know if,
you wouldn't, but there's still a part of it is like, you know, the piano playing that led to that.
It also probably hurts it to like a layman. It would be like, oh, like you're a stand-up comic, so you could probably be like in a really funny comedy movie.
Yeah.
Or if there's like an actor who's like in a funny comedy movie, I bet he could do stand-up because he's like a funny guy, because it seems like all the same shit to everyone.
And then there's another aspect of it that's like how much of it is just, you know, it's like I am older now. And then even if I had gone that traditional route, I would still be 20 years older than I was. And like how much of that passion or excitement stays with you and how much of what I'm feeling is not necessarily, I wouldn't say it's fraudulence because that's just sort of the way the system works is like you do have to find success doing something else before you can headline anymore. But, or, you know, get popular on social media somehow. It's not a merit-based system where you're just like the best fucking feature in the world and then they start, you know, letting you headline the clubs. But you know, it's like, let's say it was, and I did work my way up in some pure sense. It's like how much of what I'm feeling is just, you know, I'm middle-aged now. And, you know, I remember being young and having that hunger. And
Christ.
What? I mean, no, that's like a natural thing. I think people
We're the same age. Slow down. Okay. Damn.
Yeah. I don't know, but
what would an exceptional year this year look like for you? Like a dream, not like I survived and I'm doing okay.
I would
like an exceptional year be?
I like really if I can see a project through, and I have like a couple of irons in the fire with different things. I don't really know what's going to materialize yet. But if I could just see a project through to completion, and then it's also something that grants me a feeling of feeling excited about getting like lost in the work itself. It's like, you know, with I don't know if you did, like, you know, when you would make music or something, you'd work creatively. There's an aspect of locking yourself away in a room doing it, right? And I would do that, like, even when we had the podcast. I remember there was, like, Stav went to Greece for, like, 6 weeks. And, like, I wrote an iPad app to replace him, you know? And I'm not a coder, but, I mean, I can sit down and, like, do a Swift tutorial and figure out how to put an app on the iPad. And so I just, you know, but it was like that, you know, and I don't like whatever, it's like programming or whatever. There's a creative aspect to that, but it's like not something that I'll never do it again, you know, but like it just having being able to like lock myself away, learn something, craft something small, and work on something small like that, and then put it out. It's like getting lost in that process, and it's just describing the feeling rather than the thing itself, because the thing itself is just a soundboard I wrote. Having access to that feeling again is very important to me, which I did have last year. I don't know. It's like if you saw it, we did the Rob Schneider episode, and I shot like a 12-minute little like short video for that one. And making that, the whole process of making that, it did feel very much like I feel something, I can write it, and then I can see it made, and then edit it and put it together, and yeah, that felt good. So something even, it's more about the feeling rather than the scope of the thing, because I don't know what it could be. I've tried to make this point before, and I've said it. This might be like, there was one time when I was a kid when I got a bunch of garbage. Sorry, I'm like.
Oh no, you're good. I'm just thinking about running over time.
Here, yeah, I got a bunch of garbage from McDonald's, and I made a diorama of a living room set, like just one afternoon. I don't know why I did it. I took the bottom of like a Big Mac cup and I folded it in, made like a little coffee table and apple pie boxes, and made like like couches and chairs and stuff. And it's like, there's no audience for that. That's not anything. It's not a skill. It's just like something like that. But just like, for whatever reason, getting into something, getting into the meat of like, it's like a door that opens, that's what I want. And it's, it's abstract. So I don't know.
When I think about like, just from what you've told me, maybe there's examples that I just don't know, but of the projects that you kind of like dove into, you've had a lot of fun with, and like the evolution of your career, it seems like a lot of it was building off of stuff that you were kind of already doing. It's like you broke up with the girl, you wrote the articles, you got drafted by the website because you were writing well, you met people, you do all this, right? And then even some of the creative stuff, like the app, like came from mTown and everything, kind of not from it, but directly.
Yeah, but I'm talking about.
No, wait.
Okay, sorry.
My question for you is that like, do you ever worry, or have you ever thought deliberately about finding stuff to do that's just totally outside of like a connection to anything you're doing now? So you mentioned like the McDonald's thing. Like, do you think there could be like a creative project where like, I would love to skate, but because of your current life, that would just never be something that would come up? Like, you ever search for stuff like that?
I do stuff like that. Like, I mean, it's like my girlfriend's we live in a brownstone or whatever. And
what's that mean? Fill me in. I'm a
Floridian. It means like, the construction is like this, or if it was dressed up, it's all like, I put a closet rod up for clothes and it spans like 72 inches. So you need a support in the middle of the closet rod somewhere.
Okay.
But then there's all this on the walls, and the walls are all like, plaster. And then sometimes it's plaster over masonry here, and then there's
it's kind of unfinished, kind of.
No, it's not unfinished. It's that the internal construction of the walls is, and then it's an old building, so it's slanted, so your studs are like fucking probably 2 inches off here versus here on the wall, depending on where you are. And stuff. But I mean, that's not really important. What I'm saying is that there's a closet rod I put up. It's a 72-inch run, so you need some kind of support in the middle.
This isn't important either. You were talking about your girlfriend. You learned stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. This is a creative project.
Oh, it was. I thought you were still describing the Brownstone stuff.
I have to put a bracket up to support this closet rod, and I mean, I could just put some metal thing up there, but then now I'm like into the weeds, and so I'm gonna I do woodworking sometimes, so I have a bracket I'm gonna build, and it's got like it's slotted. There's like a sliding dovetail so that there's a bigger bracket that goes on the wall, and then I can route the edges so that it matches the chair rail. That's like an original detail in the stuff, and that's creative. It's creative to work on stuff like that. So I do still have things like that, but even with I mean, like sometimes it was. I don't think there's often small things like that are not for like public consumption, but things like that excite me. The problem is I am also, I have a life and responsibilities and stuff. So it's like, I guess it's like the next year, hopefully somehow that energy, I get to indulge in it, and it dovetails with things that benefit me in my career.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck. I had one more question on that. You,
Hopefully this wasn't incredibly boring. I don't know. I'm sorry.
No, I don't think it's boring.
Yeah.
Fine. It's interesting to see, especially being the same age.
Yeah.
Because there's like so many different paths to success.
Well,
and there are a lot of different like ways that people incorporate feedback from others.
How long have you been doing this? Because this has been like a pretty rapid rise for you, right? Over the last like 10 years, maybe.
First of all, 10 years is not rapid, motherfucker. Number one. Number two.
Yeah.
I've been streaming. I think for about 15 years now. I started in like late 2010.
Okay. But when did it really start to pop?
It depends on That's a hard question to answer. So like, for instance, in I would say 2011, 2012, I was the largest streamer in the world.
Yeah.
But that's because it wasn't a huge thing yet. So I was the biggest StarCraft 2 player, and that was the big game.
Yeah.
So like with 4,000 concurrent viewers, I'm the biggest streamer in the world. But now they're like, people have 50,000 concurrent viewers or 100,000 or more. So it's just,
do you feel like you genuinely get time to saturate in the moments as they pass you in your life as they are, or is it just moving like very quickly and you're like, just...
I think that I'm like, I feel like I live in a really lucky moment to where I genuinely do like doing all of this kind of stuff. Like talking to Marion is going to be very interesting. She's a crazy figure, and in the best way I mean that. And then she's running for a chair that I think is politically important. But because like my interests are so broad, and I've talked to so many different people, I get to chat with people like you too. That's like, considering 15, 16 years ago, I was just doing like menial work.
Right.
This is like a dream, I think. So
yeah.
And I do try to prioritize for things that I enjoy.
Did you have aspirations back then?
I would say like in high school I did, but then once I hit college, I was like, my life's kind of fucked. So as long as I can survive, like there's a thing I think that when you're working where it's like, as long as I can work enough to pay all my bills before I die, I'm like, good.
Yeah.
Like, behind to get fucked.
Right.
I'm okay. Yeah. Have enough money to die. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say this is like significantly more fun than all of that. And I still get to like choose, like if I don't want to do something, I just like choose to do something different, I guess. So.
Yeah. It's always weird when people talk about like being grateful or appreciating things. Like that's something you can just like will. You know what I mean? It's either you feel it or you don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it definitely comes. I mean, like I don't fault anybody for not feeling it. It just depends. It comes from your background. Like a lot of people now who do content get into it when they're like in high school, and so how could you ever even feel anything? Because it's just like the path of your life.
Yeah.
You know? It'd be like saying, do you feel grateful that you can buy clothes and be in a heated building? And it's like, I guess, but I mean, I've had that my whole life. I don't really know. Can you feel grateful for that?
Yeah, well, I guess it's more like especially if it's, for me, and then maybe it's different, but like streaming, well, I guess if you would say you've been doing it 15 years, I guess it has existed long. It's like, there's no way to, like when we were growing up, to aspire to be a streamer that does debates, because that wasn't a thing that existed at all. And likewise, it's like, I found success with podcast. I mean, I had listened to one podcast. It just sort of happened around me. And so it's like, I'm grateful for the money, certainly, but like, it's like, I don't, like, it just feels like things are changing so rapidly. And that's the other thing that's weird about being back in, the clubs and the green room and stuff, which I feel like I'm talking in circles.
No, you're not. Okay, here, one final question, actually, I'm curious. Before they kick us out. So for you said that like your goal is to be happy. What is like a day that's above the baseline happiness? Like what's a day where like, this was a really good day? What does that feel like? Well,
yeah, I mean, it's really simple. And that's the thing. It's going to sound like stupid, but like even as dumb as like just waking up in the morning, and like, if I can be up and I can be outside when the sun comes up, it's great. That's it. That's really all it is. Or working creatively and like I don't have a way to put it into words, but it's like a universe. It's like, people call it being in the zone or whatever, but just that feeling is like, is really a great feeling when you just get lost working on something, especially with things that are hobbies. If you're like when you're new to something, like imagine if you like got into knitting and you have no idea how shitty you are at knitting, that like first, like, I mean, that's got to feel fucking amazing.
Oh, we spoke a little bit about this with the fucking camera shit, because I think you've gone through similar building studio shit.
Yeah. It's very fun. That's been, honestly, over the last like 2.5 years, it's like, even though there may not be like a spot for me really in the show going forward, it's like, finding a new medium to work in, which is an expensive medium to like, kind of play around with, to have access to that has been invaluable. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Hey, listen, I know it's kind of an odd pairing conversation, whatever, but I mean, I super appreciate you coming out.
It's odd. I'm sorry.
No, you're the one. I'm echoing. I'm trying to be fucking reflective. You keep saying that, so I'm reflecting your feelings back to you to make you feel comfortable. Can you feel comfortable?
Well,
just say yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, stop. So thank you for coming here, even though it was not the most like. It seems like out of everybody's. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I enjoy the conversation. I
enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, I hope that you do more cool stuff.
We had a great dinner the other night with the whole crew.
Yeah, it was super fun. Yeah. What's the next thing people should find you on or look for you at or plug your stuff or whatever?
We'll see. Watch the Adam Friedland show if you want to watch.
Plug something that has Nick Mullen in it.
The Year of the Dragon special. That's the last probably big thing I did, kind of,
So far.
Yeah, so far. Other than that, you can catch me on the PlayStation Network.
We'll keep an eye out for you, okay? Thanks a lot, man.
All right. No, thank you, man. I had a lot of fun. Did you do the handshake? Sorry.